This is the KRMG Afternoon News with Skylar Cooper.
It's time for the BA Breakdown on the KRMG Afternoon News. Broken Arrow City Manager Michael Spurgeon joins us live. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Skylar. How's your week going so far?
It's going good. It's 77 degrees, so it's excellent compared to when we spoke last week.
Oh, I know. Isn't it changed just 1 week ago today, we were dealing with some extremely frigid temperatures and snow and some ice. It's an incredible change, isn't it?
It is, and I wanted to ask you about that. Just kind of recap the city's response to the winter storm. I drove by a city crew today, patching a piece of the what looked like a pretty big pothole, and I wondered if that was left behind from the winter storm. How would you grade the city's response when it comes to treating the roads and everything else that happened? I don't know if it turned out there were any water line breaks. Give me kind of the lowdown on that.
Well, as you've heard me say in multiple occasions the last 3 years, is that every storm is different. I mean, some storms don't have really cool temperatures. You get the snow that it melts the next day, and then you could have ice. You could have snow that comes down, then it could melt, and then freezing temperatures. So we treat every storm as it's going to be different than the last one, and we prepare accordingly. And I can tell you, the biggest challenge for us is we've got nearly 600 lane miles of arterial streets that we have to maintain. And I would give us overall, Tim Wilson and his team and Streets and Stormwater, I would give them an A+ for their efforts. They did an amazing job. They put down nearly 1,000 tons of salt, 1,000 gallons of brine on our streets. We did a great job of pre-treating those streets, and so we were prepared. But when the water, when it froze, it became very difficult for those materials to work. But as soon as the sun came out, we were able to continue to plow. But we started at like 2 a.m. last Tuesday, and we worked all the way through last Friday. And I couldn't be prouder. And I want to recognize all of them for their hard work.
Michael, do you have a live ticker in your office that shows sales tax revenue from car washes? Because it's happening a lot this week.
I've seen some actually social media posts about. In fact, Kathleen's talked about we need to take all of our vehicles and get them cleaned up because of all the grime that's on them from the road. And we'll probably do that this weekend. But we're so fortunate, and unfortunately, we had to close the city hall for a couple of days, like a lot of other organizations. But the safety of our employees is always tantamount to anything getting done, because we can wait, because when it comes to safety of our folks, and I don't know the streets that in the condition where some of them that don't live in the city. So we're very fortunate that we have such a great team, Skylar, and I'm very proud of all of them.
Broken Arrow City Manager Michael Spurgeon on with us. It's the BA Breakdown. Let's move over to the amphitheater construction project. I drove along there on the Creek Turnpike a couple of weeks ago and noticed some materials out there, and I wondered what the latest was. So I wanted to ask you, I know from the city's perspective, there's a lot of infrastructure work that's probably still ongoing.
Well, there's orange cones everywhere. Like I say, orange cones are a sign of progress. They do, however, create a little bit of inconvenience for a period of time during the construction. I can tell you that there is all kinds of activity happen out there right now. There's a new traffic signal that's being installed on New Orleans right there in front of NSU as a part of the widening of the road there, the sidewalks. There is actually asphalt being poured, not last week, but certainly in this beautiful weather, in the parking lots that are being built. We're working on the entrance to the turnpike that's going to be coming from the events park. And right now, I'm very comfortable in saying is that the city's portion of the work, we are certainly on track to be done late summer. The only thing that we're still waiting on right now is permission from the railroad to be able to actually put the new road on 43rd Street across the railroad tracks on the east side of the school out there to give access out to Highway 51. And so our work's going great. The venue, the Notes Live, their work is going very, very well. They have done some modifications to their site plan related to the venue itself. And actually, Bob Mudd, their point of contact, is going to be coming to the city council probably next month or in April to give the governing body an update on the status of their side. And hopefully we can talk about that when that happens.
Would that mean a possible update on timing? Do we need to wait for him, or do you know if the timeline has changed?
I'm going to wait for Bob, because I think with the redesign that they've done to the venue itself, they really had to go in and they've learned a lot from their Colorado Springs project, and they're moving a couple of things within the venue around. They're adding some additional features. I would anticipate that he's going to share with the council that the time he's going to for the opening and the start of the season is going to be pushed back, possibly until April of 2026, which I think is a good thing. That allow us to get all of our work done. They're still working out there every single day, but obviously they're trying to put a state-of-the-art, great product on for Broken Arrow in the region. And so I've asked him to come and update the council and the community specifically later in March or early April.
Let's move just down the street a little bit to the west. You mentioned NSU and Broken Arrow. I know there's a state, an effort at the state level, the legislature, to make that a full and true 4-year university. Right now, I understand they just offer like junior and senior level courses. What would the city feel about that being a full 4-year college or university?
Well, this has actually been a 3+ decade endeavor for our community to ultimately have NSU-BA be a traditional 4-year public university. And this bill, which I'm excited to announce, Skylar, that earlier this morning, the Senate Education Committee passed. It's SB 701. It is sponsored by Senator John Hayes, and it's co-sponsored by Senator Christy Gillespie, former vice mayor, council member, and Senator Julie McIntosh. The three of those got together. It passed 11-0 out of the committee, which means it now moves on in the process to the full Senate. We're very excited about this opportunity because it's going to create economic development and social activity type opportunities for our community. We're so convinced this is what's good for our city and the entire Tulsa metropolitan area that tonight the city council is going to consider a resolution in support of SB 701, just reinforcing that we believe this is going to be good for our city and the entire region and the state of Oklahoma because of the pathways that it's going to create for kids to graduate and stay in Oklahoma, which will create so many economic development opportunities. And so I'm excited just to finish up, Skylar, by telling you that the president of NSU and the vice president and probably the provost are going to be here tonight, along with Greg Graham representing our EDC. And so it's going to be a full house tonight because this is such an important issue to our community.
Great timing there. That's Broken Arrow City Manager Michael Spurgeon. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk again next week.
Thank you for your support, man. I'll talk to you next week.